If you hate language, just say that.
I don't.
If you hate words, just say that.
We hate M's.
If you're against learning and, things that are grammatically correct, just say that, bro.
We hate M's.
We understand.
We are big B's.
Everyone
over here.
already knows that, it's the lesser university, so it's okay.
Do we?
Just say that.
Number 2?
Just say that.
Number 2 over number 3?
I didn't say nothing about the football programs. I said the lesser university. We talking about learning right now.
But last I checked, this is a college football program.
Sure. Of an anti-learning university.
Well, we gonna see what's going down on Saturday. The House has been divided. And it's been divided as of 7:00 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan fan over here, Marcus Sewell, I guess. I guess, whatever.
Scary hours, folks.
The Ohio State University fan over here is JTG.
It's so pretentious. How do you call yourself the anything? You're not the champions.
No, we about to be the national champions.
About to be ain't nothing. You can take a
about to be
you can't
champions.
cash in about to be. You can't cash in about to be. You know what you can cash in? A trophy.
Are y'all even going to make the playoffs this year?
Are we going to make the playoffs this year? Well, we beat y'all, and we'll be in the playoff. I don't.
That's a pretty big task.
That's a
for
pretty simple thing.
No,
Game number 12, playoff.
It is simple when you say it, but can you do it?
Well, we've done it once, so yeah, I think we can do it again. In the last 12 months, yep, we have absolutely done it once. Have you? What about your man's at quarterback? Has he ever made a college football playoff? Has he ever led his team to a college football playoff?
He absolutely
Has
will.
he ever led his team to a win versus Michigan?
He absolutely will.
I didn't ask what he will. I asked you, has he done, just like you asked me.
Fair enough, brother.
Okay, all right, that's all.
Well,
Y'all have to prove it, not us. We don't have to prove shit. We've already done it. We have the trophy. It's in Ann Arbor.
all right. Well, Michigan beat Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
19
now let's
to
actually talk
17.
about the fucking game.
19-17.
Woo, that was by far the most stressful game of the entire season. There was maybe the first 5 minutes of the first quarter where I was like, oh, this is cake. Light work, crazy work, like Shady McCoy say. Crazy work. Blake Corum 50 yards up the sideline. JJ throwing the shoulder for a block and getting mollywopped out. But it was still crazy work.
He still threw the block.
Crazy work. It was easy. Even when it got slightly competitive, Illinois drives down, they get a field goal. Defense is playing nice. Man, the first half, I'm watching the game and I'm hearing the announcers just like always. Oh man, battle of the running backs. Chase Brown, Blake Corum. Blake Corum had 18 carries for 108 yards in the first half. Was on his way to his second touchdown where he got hurt. Chase Brown was averaging 2 yards a carry in like midway through the third quarter. So, now he got stronger. He definitely got better as the game went on. Can't take nothing away from him. Great player. Ended up with 140. But for the majority of that game, Michigan did a good enough job to keep him under wraps. Here's where I was like ramming my head against the damn TV yesterday. Is that in the few instances where we had to throw the ball just for some offensive balance, nothing was working, it seemed like. Like, I don't want to drag them all the way down. They threw for a little over 200 yards. But it's like the plays when we needed it, right? Simple throws. I can't blame the play calling for this. This is not play calling. And it's not even reps, right? It's not reps. When you got a sprint out pass and you got Colston Loveland standing in the end zone doing 360s just to make double check that nobody's around him, and we're throwing it to Isaiah Gash and he drops it, that's not play calling. That is not reps. That is execution. It ain't no amount of passes in September that was going to keep Andrew Anthony from dropping that ball that he dropped. You make that catch right there, it completely changes the complexion of the game. 14-3 going into half. Michigan's in control. We cruise. We could probably pull the starters in the third. Oh, Will, we should have thrown it more in September. Okay, so if we throw it more in September, that means those are reps that we're taking away from the running game, which is the most dominant thing about our offense, which is what's got us to 11-0. You can't have both. You can't throw the ball 50 times a game and run it 50 times a game. You can't do both. So if we're going to have a strong running game, we will always be heavier to the run than we are to the pass. You have to execute the amount of passes that we do throw. What sense does this make? Okay, so we work all week, Monday through Friday in practice on passing game. Deep passing game, right? Deep shots, deep shot, deep shot, deep shot, deep shot. Then we get to the game and we call 5 deep shots. We only hit on 2. Now, if I'm to listen to the fan, oh, you should have been doing it more. Why would we do something that we are not successful at more? And not just that it's not successful, it's that the other thing that you keep doing is highly successful. I have never seen a fan base so frustrated with success. I don't get it. There are teams that are salivating over the ability to put the ball in either one of your 2 5-star backs' stomachs and just vomit 6 yards. There are coaches that y'all think the world of that would actually murder for that and in their offense. So no, you don't drop back and throw the ball 40 times just for the sake of saying, oh, well, we can run it whenever we want. Because if you stop running the ball, you don't have a dominant running game. You don't have a Heisman Trophy winner in your backfield. You don't have a guy behind him that you can legitimately say that he may end up being better than the Heisman Trophy candidate. You do not have that, and not unless you don't run the ball. If you do not run the ball, you don't have that. You need to lay that blame where it belongs. Sherrone Moore can't go out there and catch a pass. Neither can Matt Weiss. Neither can Jim Harbaugh. Doesn't matter what play they draw up. Doesn't matter how many times they worked it in practice or in the game. You have to execute when the ball comes to you. You have to catch the ball. Blame the people who are out there to do the job and that are not doing it. Stop looking everywhere else besides where that blame needs to go. I done seen Andrell Anthony in every single game for the last 7 weeks. They're scheming plays from him. They're subbing out Cornelius Johnson for him to get in. They are calling plays for Andrell Anthony. The boy is afraid to make a play. And you can't keep blaming the coaches when he's not taking advantage of his opportunities. He's not. It's not the wide receiver coach. It's not the offensive coordinator. It's not the head guy. You have to make a play. I watched football all day yesterday, and it was guy after guy after guy after guy making amazing plays. No, not perfect ball placement. No, not outside when it's supposed to be inside or vice versa, or good defense or getting held. Doesn't matter. Playmakers make plays. They make plays. You're either a playmaker or you're not. You're either a playmaker or you're not. And if we don't have the playmakers to drop back and throw the ball 50 times a game, will y'all let them do what's successful? Will you just let them do? Will you just hope that Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are healthy enough to go so that we can do what we do best? Some of y'all have spent the entire season waiting for something that's not going to come. Even if we win a national championship, that won't be the way that we do it. You should want us to be as good at the things that we do well as we possibly can. Not wishing upon a star that JJ turns into Baker Mayfield overnight. Do what we do well and execute, and that will win us games. I hate when fan bases put pressure on administrations or players to do things that will not help. Oh, well, we got all these other teams. Look at Oregon. Look at UCLA. Look at USC. Look at Tennessee. Every single one of those teams that I named has a loss. Number 1 team in the country, by the way, won 16-6 versus Kentucky. So don't tell me that we can't beat them doing what we do best.
What do you think about Blake Corum and his supposed knee injury.
I'm hoping that he's okay. You know, he came out, he warmed up, he still looked a little gingerly.
He did going into the half.
Yeah, he did play in the second half. He got a carry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's able to actually take a carry. I'm thinking that he's going to be able to play next week. This week, walkthroughs and non-contact only for him, and just hope for the best. They intentionally left Donovan Edwards out of this game to get him healthy for next week. So either way, we get one of those guys back, we got a shot. We get one of those guys back and healthy, we got a shot. Because the thing is, on the other side, Dallin Hayden had a great game. We'll talk about it later, but I don't fear him the way that I fear a healthy Travion Henderson or a healthy Mayan Williams. So we'll see what happens there. But it seems like everybody is nicked up. That's another thing, man. We were missing so many guys. And then when Blake went down, you really saw how much we were losing or how much we didn't have. Right? Trente Jones didn't play again. Ryan Hayes didn't, or not Ryan Hayes, Trevor Keegan didn't even suit up. Ryan Hayes didn't play the whole game. So El Hadi and Percy and all those guys, Barnhart, you know, it just didn't look good. It didn't look great on the offensive line. We gave up pressures. We weren't always getting pushed when Blake went out. All of a sudden now we can't spring CJ Stokes like we were springing him. It's a different feel. So to be down Edwards, Corum, Keegan, Jones, a little bit of Hayes, no Schoonmaker, and then you're missing Mike Morris, which is your leading tackler and leading tackler for loss on the other side. We were down a lot. Like, the fact that we were even able to beat Illinois down that much should be something that's commended. You let damn RJ Young tell it. We still having damn conversations about the stupid tunnel. He getting real hackish over there, man. He's getting real hackish.
Nothing even happened in the tunnel.
No.
I saw there was like a...
Fam, Brett Bielema he ran out to the referees and told them to hold Michigan back because they had their time to come out of the tunnel and they didn't do it in an orderly fashion. So you hold them back now so we can come out. That was the scrum.
Yeah, that wasn't.
That was the scrum. And we got national pundits talking about it like it's an actual issue and literally comparing it back to the Michigan State issue.
Yeah, no.
The last time you said you didn't have an issue was Michigan State, and you definitely had an issue. Everybody clap it up for RJ Young, the number one dickhead. For bringing up the Michigan State issue as if that was a tunnel issue. As if 10 guys beating up one player was a tunnel issue.
Yikes.
Stop talking to me about a tunnel. Stop talking to me about losing coaches complaining about a losing situation. Do you think your players want to hear you complaining about a damn tunnel after a loss to Michigan? Any of you? Any three of you? Jesus Christ. Make them start warming up on the practice field, and then they can walk. And then they can walk to the big house. Since it's such a problem, since it's such an issue, go warm up outside on the practice field. And then walk on over. Jesus Christ. Don't talk to me about no tunnel. Because you know when the tunnel was never a problem? When Michigan was losing. When Michigan wasn't 11-0. When Michigan was going into November with 2 losses already. Nobody gave a good goddamn about the tunnel. Coming in, coming out. No one cared. When you could come into the big house and pick up a win, nobody cared about that tunnel. And conversely, if Oklahoma was 11-0, I know that's comical, but stay here with me. If Oklahoma was 11-0, the last thing we'd be hearing RJ Young talk about is some opposing coaches whine about a tunnel. How about do your job and talk about the 11-0 team? How about you find a way to stop moving the goalposts on Michigan every time they defy one of your lackluster predictions about them losing or not being an elite team? How about that? How about you talk about that? How about you talk about the fact that you have been wrong about this team since the preseason? Nah, man, I'm ready for the game. I'm ready. I'm ready. I am ready for the game. Let's get to it.
Iowa beat Minnesota 13-10, and now they're top 2 of the Big Ten West. I don't understand it.
How is it even possible that Iowa is a win away from going to the Big Ten championship. Like, how is it even possible that Spencer Petras is going to his second, or probably, it's not, no guarantees in the West, but probably going to his second straight Big Ten championship game? Spencer Petras, guys, I don't think you got, I don't want to put too much on this, but Spencer Petras is probably the worst quarterback in America.
Yeah.
It was probably like him and Spencer Rattler were like duking it out this weekend, and they both said, "Oh well, I don't want that." Maybe Ryan Helinski. Ryan Helinski.
He's just on the worst overall team. They don't have anything redeeming.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're Petras, I'm going back to the title game, baby. I can't be as bad as Helinski.
That's a fact. That's a fact. The crazier stat is that Mo Ibrahim, 263 yards and still didn't win this game.
I feel bad for that boy, man, because he been putting up numbers and they haven't meant anything. It's wasted.
Almost 300 yards running the ball, and you still lose the game.
Had a 30-year-old quarterback. You just knew y'all was going to be in the title game. Damn.
Well, Tanner Morgan wasn't playing again.
No more rowing the boat. Boat capsized this week.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, shout out to Iowa, man. I guess I guess playing good defense and running the ball does amazing things for even bad teams. You would have thought the only way to win football is to have a Heisman Trophy candidate in at quarterback. And look at damn Iowa. Now I know the West is terrible, but there are at least 8 quarterbacks on that side. Hold on, wait, nope, because there's only 7 teams, so there can't be 8. Nope, there's probably still 8 that are better than Spencer Petras.
Well, yeah, Tanner Morgan and their new guy.
No, Billy Edwards at Maryland is better than Spencer Petras.
Well, Billy Edwards is on the East. He's at the West.
Oh, you're right. Sheesh.
Aiden O'Connell is definitely better.
Drew Alar. No, East. Fuck.
Nebraska's backup quarterback.
Chuba Purdy.
Yeah.
That's close.
And
that's close.
Yeah. Wisconsin's got Graham Mertz, and then
I don't know who their backup is.
I don't either.
We already know Michigan State doesn't have a backup. They would have went to him a long time ago.
Well, that's East too.
Why do I keep doing that? You know who Illinois' backup is?
I don't. Tommy DeVito.
The point is, Spencer Petras is one of the worst quarterbacks in the conference overall, and he's probably going to back his way in to the Big Ten championship game because they run the ball, they play good defense, and they don't turn it over all that much anymore. So, sounds like the core principles of football still apply.
In certain places.
Regardless,
in the West, I guess.
I think in general, because, I mean, what was Georgia last year if not a team that ran the ball, played great defense, and didn't turn the ball over?
That is a fact.
Stop trying to reinvent the game just because the other stuff is sexy.
Penn State beat Rutgers 55-10.
Yeah,
and Rutgers only scored those 10 points in the first quarter. Literally shut out for 3 quarters.
That was an ass whooping, Shiano.
Yeah.
Had a Nick Singleton sighting this week. You know what I mean? I think I figured it out with them. It can only be one at a time.
Yeah.
It's either K-Tron or Nick. It's never both of them at the same time.
Yep.
So when K-Tron go missing, Nick show up and be like, "Oh, where K-Tron go?" And the same thing when Nick go disappearing, here come K-Tron Allen trying to have a 100-yard game.
That's going to be a good problem to have when they get, to be sophomores, juniors.
I would like them to do it at the same time.
Well, sure.
Next year.
But you can at least always depend on one, I guess. And then you'll have Drew Alar.
That's what I was going to say. Penn State is on my short list of dark horse teams next year to start next year. They got an early start, what's up with the young backs. Obviously, Drew Alar has gotten some playing time this year. That's a team to look out for. It is a team to look out for because offensively, they will be dangerous. Now they're losing a lot on defense, and, we'll have to see how Handy Mandy over there keeps it up. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. But offensively, they should be pretty dangerous going into next season.
Indiana beat Michigan State 39-31 in overtime.
Yep. If Illinois just would have been able to beat Michigan State last night, that would have been the end of their bowl eligibility. Darn it.
Yeah. Well,
damn it. That still may be coming down. We should be hearing from the Big Ten soon on the BS. I don't think y'all. Why would you even want to go? Why you want to go play in the Cheeto Bowl and lose? Just take your bowl ban and move on from all of this.
Yeah. Purdue beat Northwestern 17-9. It's a little bit of a close one for Purdue.
Yeah, skating by the skin of their teeth. So now they got to hope for an Iowa loss. And I don't know who I would rather play in the Big Ten championship game, Purdue or Iowa. I mean, obviously Iowa, we've already beaten Iowa.
Right.
And, they've gotten marginally better on offense. Purdue is just one of those teams that, like, they've done it so many different ways this year.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the team I really want to avoid because you just don't know what you're going to get. What's your boy's name, the running back?
Dylan Maccabee.
Maccabee can go off in the running game. Like, they just got to really, like, pick your poison type of offense. So I don't want to play games with that.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have a boring game versus Spencer Petras.
I agree.
And get out of there.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, they've got either Aiden O'Connell and Charlie Jones or yeah. And they've got a number of running backs, honestly, because I think Duru's still playing for them, isn't he?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I don't want to deal with that. Wisconsin beat Nebraska 15-14.
And Wisconsin's going to a bowl.
Really close game, though, with Nebraska.
Yeah. So, quick question. Since obviously I don't think either one of us watched that game and there's really nothing relevant to talk about in it. Mickey Joseph obviously not staying at Nebraska. Who do you think goes there? Who ends up in Nebraska?
Let's see. The options are Luke.
I think Luke, Matt Rule is on the short list, I believe.
Yeah, I think it might be Matt Rule. I think it would be too far off of an option. Maybe he stays at Cincy.
I hope it's Matt Rule.
You hope it's who?
I hope it's Matt Rule. We got enough of those type of upper echelon coaches for my liking. We got Ryan Day, you got Harbaugh, Franklin, Pat and Kurt. We got enough.
Tuck.
Anyways, we got enough. Got enough personality. I don't need nobody to contend with at Nebraska. Let it be Matt Rule. He'll stay there for a couple years, try to get another NFL job, maybe go coach with Saban at Bama. He ain't going to do nothing in Nebraska, but that's the kind of guy I want there.
Yeah, you want somebody that's not going to perform.
Yeah. I don't want any. Don't leave Urban alone. No Dion. Get on.
I don't like Dion leaving Jackson State.
I don't either, right? But there's so many jobs open. It's kind of like
specifically Auburn.
Auburn is a very attractive for Coach Prime. I want him to get Jackson State to a level where they can compete with a Power 5 team.
I agree.
If I see that, then I feel like he's done his job and he's put the program in a place that it can't fall too far back from that. You know what I mean? He pushed them to another stratosphere.
He's already developing guys like Travis Hunter. He had an offensive touchdown the other day.
But what I don't want him to do is take Travis and his sons and go to whatever school he ends up leaving to.
Yeah,
so I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to rob them blind.
Right.
At least get this run of kids that you got in there through now. Get them to the league. Show them that you can get kids to the league from the SWAC. And then if you decide, leave them better off than they would have been before you got there. Because if he up and go to Auburn right now and take Shador and take Travis Hunter and all of them, and they go to Auburn, then Jackson State gonna be just what they was before Prime went there.
Yep. That's what we can't have happen. But
let them get drafted from Jackson State. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you want to head to Lincoln don't come to Lincoln.
Yeah, don't come to Lincoln.
Don't come to Lincoln.
No.
Go to Auburn. Go to Auburn.
I don't even know how. Well, yeah, go to Auburn. That'll be the final nail in the casket.
And then what about Wisconsin? Does Jim Leonard stay or do they upgrade? Well, I think they
like Jim Leonard.
But I don't know if they like him all that much because they got decommitments and Braylon Allen on the run.
No, that's true.
Out of there.
That's true.
I don't know how much they like him.
Do you think that has more to do with the fact that Paul Chryst just left, or that it actually has to do with Jim Leonard? I know Jim Leonard's more of a defensive guy, so maybe Braylon Allen doesn't think he's getting. I don't know. You're still the star of the offense.
Well, I mean, who wants to be the star on a sinking ship? That's the Braylon Allen thing. For Wisconsin, I think that they liked Jim Leonard more than they liked Paul Chryst. I think they felt like they hit a point of stagnation with Paul Chryst. But then at the same time, Jim Leonard didn't show you nothing that makes it, oh, yep, that's our guy. 100%, that's our guy. Urban Meyer on the hall? Nope, don't need him. We got Jim Leonard. Like, definitely not that. That's not where we're at. So, but at the same time, if you can't get a guy like that, do you take a risk taking a lesser-known coordinator or something like that, first-year head coach, letting this guy go?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say over Jim Leonard.
You know, so they're kind of in a weird spot of bang or bust. We either, stick with what we got or we get a big name that makes it reasonable for us to either move Jim Leonard back to defensive coordinator or to send him on his way.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what both teams do.
Yeah.
Ohio State beat Maryland 43-30. I think the bad news, obviously, coming from this is that, we clearly struggled. The score doesn't tell what happened in the game whatsoever. We got a late garbage time score, defensive score. So I don't think the double-digit score in this one really paints how really close it was. A lot of questioning on the defensive side of things. But I think going into this game, we always kind of knew that Maryland was a dynamic offense, and Talia was always going to be a threat. I mean, Talia is probably, at worst, third best quarterback in the Big Ten East. So, I always kind of knew it was going to come down to that. He played Michigan extremely hard, so it didn't really necessarily surprise me that he was going to play Ohio State hard. Tightening things up on the defensive side. I mean, JT was getting held quite a bit, but he didn't make as many plays early on in the game. I think some of the guys towards the end started making some plays. Guys like Zach Harrison and JT made a couple plays towards the end. Eichenberg made a couple key tackles. But, going into this game, that was always going to kind of be the thing. Now, I guess what I didn't necessarily expect is that CJ didn't have the best of games in this one. We got a good showing from Dallin Hayden, and I think I feel confident, and especially if we get somebody like Mayan Williams back as well. Trey, I don't know if he's 100%, to be honest with you.
He looks stiff as hell.
He might be trying to rush something that's not working
there.
For him. Yeah, I think he just kind of wants to be out there, but it's like you're kind of limiting what we can do when you're out there not 100%. And so Dallin Hayden showed improved, I think. I think he looked really good, and I love it when I mention a running back to you and you just kind of dismiss them, and then they do pretty well, because you did the same thing with Mayan Williams. So, if I mention more running backs, maybe you'll just dismiss them and they'll look amazing in the next games. Neither here nor there.
I don't think he's going to do that versus the number one rush defense in the country, but I mean, I could be wrong.
Probably not. But
I don't think he's Chase Brown either, but I could be wrong.
No, you're probably right. But at the very least, he will be serviceable against Michigan. We're absolutely going to need him, and we'll probably get into this, when we do our preview. But owning time of possession is going to be key. Keeping the ball away from you guys is going to be key, and so we're going to need a serviceable running back, somebody who is at the very least 100%. And can do the things that Dallin Hayden seemed to be able to do. So, it wasn't our worst game, but and at some levels I expected some of this, and we got out of it with a win, so I can't be too upset. But, now we got to go into, this game in down here in Columbus. Looks like it's going to be a pretty clear day, so,
Clear day?
Yeah.
Like I see, 49% chance of precipitation next Saturday.
I did not see that.
Damn, son. 35 degrees and sunny. It's going to rain on Friday now.
Yeah. Well, again, it doesn't matter as much.
Really changed.
Considering
Seriously.
we need to own time of possession. So like we're going to need to run the ball anyway. So
do you know when I first looked it up, I looked it up on Wednesday. I was like, let's see. I said, 40 degrees and 40% chance of snow. I'm like, God loves me.
That's not funny. That is not funny. Why am I laughing?
I mean, regardless, like he said, I mean, it's the game plan doesn't change. Well, okay, I can only speak from our standpoint. The game plan doesn't change. Mm-hmm. Hailstorm or 80 degrees outside, it's the same game plan.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, one other thing is that it also came down to Ryan Day's play calling again. Like, he was at least feeding Dallin Hayden, which I like to see. But, like, every now and then he'll go to the outside, and it's just like, bro, run to the inside with Dallin Hayden. Stop doing that bullshit. Like, it's just like sometimes he makes decisions that will go against what's clearly already been working and has been proven through most of the game. And also stop taking out defensive guys when we're up by 2 scores. We need to win this game. What are you doing? Clearly, one of those drives by Maryland was way too easy for them. They made like I can't remember
that one past the Rock Jarrett.
Thank you, Rock Jarrett.
That joint. That was a nice throw.
It was.
I'm jealous of that because that was a beautiful throw.
It was. But it's just like that on that drive, he took out a couple of our starters. And it's just like, why are you taking out the starters with only 2 scores up?
Health. Trying to get to next week healthy. That's what I feel like both of these teams was really where they were really at, is because both of these teams are trying to get as healthy as they possibly can. I know you guys got some injuries in the middle of the offensive line there with the center. Obviously Jackson and Mayan and Travion and all of them. They're trying to get out of that game healthy. Mm-hmm. Like, I know because I know my coach. I know he wanted to lean on Blake Corum in the second half. Hell, he probably thought twice about suiting up Donovan Edwards at halftime. It took every fiber of his being to trust C.J. Stokes and the other running backs hating after he seen what he saw from Travion Henderson in the first half.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I trust Ryan Day, and I like Ryan Day. I just think sometimes he will get away from what works. Just because I think sometimes he can be stubborn to his game plan or what he thought going into it. Yeah, a little too much. But yeah, I mean, that was that game. Out of conference was a little crazy because Tennessee, well, the SEC as a whole looked crazy. I mean, Georgia had a tough one against Kentucky.
Shit, Alabama was struggling with Austin Peay.
LSU kind of struggled a little bit
with UAB on Cupcake Saturday right before rivalry weekend. Mm-hmm. That it's bad enough that you even have those games scheduled at this point in the season, and yes, that does play a difference.
Yep,
there are real stakes in November. You could drop one in September, and nobody will even remember if you went out. Mm-hmm. Oregon, right? I mean, they were just in the college football discussion for a while.
Yeah, we both had trap games going into our biggest game of the season. So, what's SEC's excuse?
And then they struggled.
Drug in some cases.
Yeah,
31-63 against South Carolina, and reviving Spencer Rattler is absolutely
63
nuts.
to South Carolina. Do you know up until that game, because he threw 6 touchdowns in that game, right? Mm-hmm. Spencer Rattler has thrown 5 touchdowns against SEC opponents all season.
That is
all season.
That is crazy.
He threw 6 last night against Tennessee. We told y'all Tennessee didn't have no defense. To South Carolina? Come on, man. They've had the worst offense in the SEC all year.
But we all knew Tennessee's defense wasn't shit.
And then we got to go to the perceived number 1 team in the country in the Georgia Bulldogs, struggling against Kentucky.
I was going to say, game was a lot closer than even 16-6 would lead you to believe. I was watching that while I was also watching the Ohio State game at the same time, and I was like, man, a couple of key plays, and this would be a different game.
TCU won their game. They're 11-0.
The very close game as well.
I respect TCU, though. They're 11-0.
Yeah.
They're 11-0. There's 4 teams in the entire country that are still undefeated.
And that was
They're
a
one
revenge game for 2014 Baylor game for them. So, they found a way to win that game, and you can't really be mad at them for doing so. Baylor looked as good as they've looked all season. So,
I have no beef with TCU. Matter of fact, I'm hoping TCU wins out.
Same.
I'm hoping they win out. Dream scenario, we win. They'll probably leave Georgia at number 1, as long as they win their conference championship. And then we get our first round versus TCU. I would love that game.
Here's a good possibility of what could end up happening is, we still think Ohio State, Michigan is going to be a really close game.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame just beat whoever they played. I know it was a scrub, but they just beat them, 44-0?
Boston College.
I knew they were a scrub, but, they're coming off of 2 games, 2 really good games for them, and they're going into USC with some confidence. USC had a close one, but it was against UCLA.
UCLA, yep.
So maybe Notre Dame could edge out a win there, and then LSU is going to lose to Georgia in the SEC championship game, allowing the loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game
to get back in. I mean, after TCU wins, so that keeps them in the hunt to move up, and then Tennessee loses, drops off. Now everybody else behind them got 1 or 2 losses. So yeah, you're right in the conversation. Couple more teams take 1 more loss. USC. Well, really, only USC has to take a loss. LSU already got 2 losses. Either one of us should get in over
especially
LSU.
if they lose in the SEC championship as well.
LSU would have to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Yeah, and I don't think
that's going to happen. Yeah, so crazy how things worked out. Everybody was convinced that the SEC was going to have 2 teams, and now here we are.
And you know what you got to do to be considered or to have a chance to do that? You got to win all your games.
Yep.
Got to win all your games.
Yep.
That's what the game's about. You play to win the game. Herb Edwards.
Yep.
Not have perfect tunnel etiquette.
Any other thoughts on this week?
That's it for me, man. How did your team do this week, and what did you think about ours? Make sure you give your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for another review.
Absolutely, and make sure you subscribe for more college football content because we've been doing this all year and we'll continue to do it so throughout the national championship. And make sure you check out our upcoming preview for the game.